Hey beautiful, welcome to Beauty Beyond Betrayal. Have you discovered your husband's been having an affair? Do you just want the pain to stop and be able to take a deep breath again? Do you find yourself up late at night Googling how to save your marriage, heal from an affair? Do you wake up with the hope that this nightmare would end only to feel crushed and humiliated because your husband acts like the affair was really your fault and now you're left obsessing with where he is and if he's seeing her again? Hey, I'm Lisa. I too was devastated when I discovered my husband was having an affair. I too felt the pain would never end and wished he would just stop the affair and we could restore our marriage. I wanted the weight of the trauma to be lifted so I could breathe again and be able to have someone, anyone, help me climb out of the dark, miry pit of despair so I could begin to heal and be confident in me again. But I kept telling myself, he won't stop seeing her. Must have been my fault. And this pain, it'll never go away. Until I found hope and healing in Christ, along with simple techniques that helped me to learn how to recover from the betrayal. In this podcast, you'll discover what betrayal trauma really is, learn simple techniques to heal and recover, and get biblical guidance to help you make the right choices as you heal from the affair so you can be free from the heartbreak and the pain and rise in confidence once again to be the woman God created you to be. So beautiful, grab your favorite latte or a glass of wine, snuggle up on the couch and focus on yourself for a few minutes. Let's dive into what it really means to rise up from the ashes of betrayal and loss into a life that you really desire. Well, hello, beautiful. I'm glad you're back for another episode of Beauty Beyond Betrayal. We are diving deep today in your first 5 steps to take when you have been betrayed. You know, we talked about a couple of episodes ago, we were talking about betrayal trauma. Is it real? What exactly is it? We broke that down for you. Then we looked at the symptoms of betrayal trauma and how they equated to PTSD or post-traumatic stress disorder. So today we're going to look at the steps you need to take to start healing from this thing that has brought you so much trauma and disarray in your life since you discovered your husband's affair or pornography use. Now, we are going to break it down in a way that we can relate to. You know, I often equate betrayal trauma, going through the discovery of being betrayed, to an accident. You are in the car with your spouse. They are driving and they have chosen to become extremely reckless while you are in that vehicle. They're not thinking correctly, you know, they're speeding all over the place, weaving in and out of traffic, and all of a sudden they are wrapping this vehicle around a tree. You are thrown from the vehicle. There is wreckage everywhere. You are laid out on the side of the road, bleeding out, and your spouse is in the vehicle, or they can be thrown out as well. They are injured just as much, and you both need help. You both are in critical condition right now. This is what betrayal does to us individually as well as to our relationship. It absolutely wrecks us and it leaves us bleeding out. That's exactly what it feels like. And I remember in my own betrayal journey talking about it like being in a war zone and having a grenade and a landmine simultaneously blowing up on me at the same time. Literally at the same time. I am now in this battleground and I'm blown apart. I'm bleeding out, and boy, do I need help. And that's how it is for you when you've been betrayed. So what do you do? Like, what are your first steps? How do you get care when you are in such critical condition? Well, let's talk about it like we are looking at it from the lens of a very, very serious injury due to an accident that you didn't create. Because beautiful, that's the truth. You had no consent in this. You did not create this. This was done by your spouse driving their life very carelessly, and you are the passenger and you've been wounded because of their carelessness. Now, let's look at it. You're at this accident. The very first thing that you're going to have to do to start your healing journey is to acknowledge what has happened to you. That is important when you are seeking to heal from betrayal. We cannot deny what's happened to us no more than we can deny that we've been in a serious accident that has left us bleeding on the side of the road. And I know this from experience because I was in a serious accident way in the 80s, and I had bleeding internally, and it was just a terrible event. And so I remember that. I remember having my car totaled, being hit by someone, and I had no say in it whatsoever, no consent. However, I was seriously wounded, seriously injured. So I had to acknowledge what happened to me. I couldn't deny the fact that I was injured. I couldn't deny the fact that I had been in this serious accident, no more than I could deny the fact that my husband had betrayed me years ago. I had to look it square in the face for what it was, and I had to acknowledge, oh my gosh, he's been having an affair for 2.5 years. This is reality. Now, while it shook my reality for what I thought it had been for the last number of years, nonetheless, this was now my reality. So your first step to even begin to heal is to not deny what has taken place, but to actually acknowledge you've been betrayed. You have a spouse that has either had an affair or they are sexually addicted, and this is reality. The second step that you have to take is to accept what has actually happened. You acknowledge it, bring it to acknowledgement, and then you accept it. Let's take the car accident, for example. You have to accept the fact that you are wounded. This is your reality. You are laying out on the side of the road, you're bleeding out over there, and you have to accept what's happened to you so that you can move to the next step, so that you can start to receive care, so that you can do what's necessary, so that you can heal from what has taken place. The same occurs in betrayal trauma. You have to accept that you've been betrayed. You cannot just turn away from it. So acceptance and acknowledgement, while they go hand in hand, they are actually two different things. You can still acknowledge that you've been betrayed, yet not accept it. This is a hard thing for most, because accepting means that you have to actually face the facts that this has really transpired in your life. You can't deny it. You can't just wish it away. This actually has happened. And most of the time it's hard to accept because of the pain that's involved. The pain is so deep. It hurts in ways we never thought that we would ever hurt. But beautiful, pain is there for a purpose. Pain is there to let us know that we need to be healed from what has happened to us. So we must accept that we've been betrayed. Now, number 3 is this. Come to the realization that the betrayal had nothing to do with you. It was not about you, beautiful. It had nothing to do with your choices, had nothing to do with your consent. It had nothing to do with your lack of. It had nothing to do with you nagging too much, not giving him enough sex, not giving him the attention that he wanted. It has nothing to do with that. The affair or the sexual addiction was his choice. It was your spouse's choice at the end of the day. They have a free will choice and they moved into it, and they are the ones who are responsible for it, not you. It's just like the car accident. You had no consent over the way your spouse was driving that car. You were trying to tell them not to drive that way. You were trying to tell them to slow down, right? But they kept driving, carelessly. So you had nothing to do with the accident. You were an innocent bystander. Those who are betrayed are the ones who are the bystanders, so to speak. You had no say in the matter. You would never had agreed to this in the first place. So you need to recognize and realize that the betrayal was not about you. Now, this leads me into number 4. Once you have acknowledged what has happened to you, you've accepted the fact that now you are in critical condition, you've been very wounded by this. It's not your fault. You had nothing to do with it. It was not your fault. Well, now you have to realize that you need triage. In other words, you need a self-care plan. You need to be taken care of. We need to stop the bleed out, so to speak. What does that look like? Well, for many, it looks different from many, okay? We are all individually, uniquely, fearfully, and wonderfully made. All of us heal differently, and all of us have different needs. So your self-care plan is going to look different than mine. Your triage plan will look different. No two accidents are the same. Some person might go through an accident and only come out with just cuts and bruises, while another person can go through that accident, get thrown from the car, and they can be bleeding out and need massive surgery and be in ICU for a week or 2. It's different for everyone. So you need to assess what is it that you need for your personalized self-care? And again, that can look very different for different people. Self-care plans are, making sure that you're eating properly, getting enough sleep. Are you staying hydrated? Are you moving every single day? Are you isolating yourself, which is a very, very dangerous thing? Or are you staying around safe people, those who are bringing life to you and helping you through the process? What is it that you need? This is triage when you've been wounded severely through betrayal trauma. So what does your triage look like? We have to stop the bleeding. For some, that means we take a therapeutic time out away from our spouse because maybe they are continuing in their sexual addiction. They're not laying down the pornography. Or maybe they're not stopping the affair. That was my case. My husband kept going back and forth and back and forth. And for me, every time he would go back, it was like I was being stabbed in the heart all over again, and I was bleeding out again. So the wounds kept getting reopened time and time again, and I could not heal. So I had to remove myself from that toxic environment, from being wounded over and over again. I had to stop the bleed out. So sometimes we have to take a therapeutic separation or a therapeutic time out just so that we can get some relief from the toxicity, from the constant trauma that is being heaped on us because the behavior hasn't stopped. They haven't turned themselves around yet. They're not in recovery yet. So whatever that looks like for you, beautiful, assess yourself. Develop a self-care plan so that you can stop the bleeding and you can start to heal. Now, the 5th thing that I want to talk to you about, the last thing I want to share with you today, is once you have figured your triage, then we need to find a specialist that can help us through this. We need a specialist to help us develop the right recovery plan so that we can heal. What does that look like for you? Maybe for you, that is a trauma-informed therapist or coach. Maybe for you, that's a trauma-informed couples therapist or coach because you both need to be working with someone. Maybe your spouse needs to be working with a certified sex addiction therapist while you work with a trauma-informed coach. Needless to say, you both need a specialist, someone who has the correct tools, who can guide you through a proven process that can lead you through your healing journey to recovery. step by step. Now, while no two people heal the same, there are tools that we use as trauma-informed coaches and therapists that are very useful in the healing journey. We just use them according to the person. Some person might come and speak to me. Some beautiful woman might reach out to me and say, Lisa, I need to stop the bleeding. And right now, that looks like he won't stop the affair, so I guess I need a therapeutic separation. So what do? We start with a therapeutic separation to stop the bleeding. But then I might have a woman that comes in and says, my husband's put himself into recovery, so I need to just start my journey. With her, we start with her safety action plan. We start accordingly, right? But the tools still apply for everyone across the board. We just might change the pattern a little bit to suit your personalized recovery journey. That's why it's important to have a specialist who can triage you, find out where you are, and then help you to develop your plan so that you can heal and move into a life full of joy, peace, and purpose once again. So beautiful, where are you? Where are you in your journey? Are you just at the accident stage? You're on the side of the road bleeding out and you need to acknowledge it, accept it, realize it's not about you, maybe develop your self-care plan, or you're at the place of finding a specialist. Wherever you are, make sure to move through your plan so that you can heal. And beautiful, if you're looking for someone who has a program who can help you, below in the show notes, click on where it says work with me. It'll take you to my website. You have options there. We can get you on a personalized journey of healing so that you can finally recover from the devastating effects of betrayal. Either whether you are reconciling with your spouse or not, healing is available for you, and I would be honored to help you in your journey. Now, before we leave today, I just have to say, we are 500 downloads away from 100,000 downloads. And this would never have happened in a 19-month period without each and every one of you amazing, loyal listeners. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for listening and being a part of Beauty Beyond Betrayal. I cannot tell you how exciting it is to know that we are making such an impact in lives all across the globe, and it's because of you. You download the program, the podcast. You share it on your social media outlets. You tell others. You leave us 5-star reviews. You write into the show. You give us things you want to hear so we can bring you more content. Thank you so much for being a part of Beauty Beyond Betrayal. And here's to the next 100,000 that's coming soon. I cannot wait to share more of what we have in store for you for the remainder of this year. Look for some great things coming your way. Be blessed, and we'll see you again soon. Thanks for stopping by today and spending a little while with me. I hope you enjoyed today's show and found hope, healing, and encouragement. Please remember to subscribe to my podcast and leave a review. You can even screenshot this episode and share it on IG or Facebook stories. This is how we get the message of hope and healing out to all women who are in the midst of betrayal and loss. If you're ready to move out of the devastation of betrayal and take the next step in your healing, make sure to reach out to me and schedule your breakthrough coaching call today. Until next time, love God, live your life passionately, and always choose joy in the midst of any circumstance that you may face. Cheers to you, beautiful.